When you hear the word unicorn, you probably picture a sparkling pastel colored horse with a spiral horn. But what if I told you that unicorns have a much deeper and even biblical history? From ancient scrolls to medieval manuscripts, these mysterious creatures have been recorded for centuries. But were they real? Were they mistranslations or something else entirely? Let's dive into the fascinating history of unicorns and uncover the truth hidden in plain sight. Hi, I'm Donita from prairie-trail.com. If you're new here, welcome. I have, let's see, what do I have? I have a biblically based sustainable living magazine, covers homemaking, homesteading, homeschooling, 4-H, all kinds of stuff in it. So if you're interested in that kind of information, pop on over to prairie-trail.com and check that out. I also have a community where we down our tin hats. Fabulous tin hats, of course. And we dig into things a little bit deeper, be it politics, Bible, whatever comes up. So, welcome, and let's see what we can discover here. Get some of my goodies out of the way, and I was going to pull up some information that I have found. We're going to start with the Bible, of course, because everything that I do is biblically based, pretty much. Yes, I know we're screen sharing. Thank you very much. Okay, whenever I look up the word unicorn in the King James Version, and yes, it was in the King James Version, um, the first thing that popped up in Bible Gateway was Daniel 8:5. And this is where Daniel is coming up with prophecy, having a vision of these beasts coming up. And one of the beasts is a goat with a notable horn between its eyes. Now, when you look this up in the lexicon, so Bible Hub lexicon, while I was observing, behold, a male goat was coming from the west over the surface of the whole earth without touching the ground, and the goat had a conspicuous horn between its eyes. Okay. And all of these words are pretty basic as far as this gives you the Hebrew in here and tells you a little bit about these words, right? Well, what this is talking about most likely is Alexander the Great. He's not specifically mentioned in the Bible, but when Nebuchadnezzar had his dream of the statue and the head of gold was Nebuchadnezzar, and then the shoulders of silver were the Medes and the Persians. And then you had the waist of bronze, brass, and that's the Greeks. And then you had the legs of iron, which was the Romans. And this is explained in several places in Daniel. It's talking about this. And then there's a refresher of it in the book of Revelation as well. So this is understood to be Alexander the Great. Darius is mentioned in the Bible, who was, let's see, He was the Persian, okay? And then Cyrus, the Greek, he's mentioned in there as well. So this is a changing over of kingdoms, okay? And I there's been a little bit of controversy here lately about the whole earth not meaning the whole earth. And I just did a video on this, and I do believe that this means the whole earth. As a matter of fact, someone else has done a video recently, and I can't remember who it is. I think I shared it, um, on how perhaps the whole Pangea continent thing was there a lot more recent than what we think. Um, if you're thinking in a biblical perspective, then the the flood was about 4000 BC. Or no, creation was about 4000 BC. Get to the I think I've got the timeline in a different, so you probably won't see this. Um so the creation of Adam was about 4000 BC. The flood was about 1662 years after that, about 1500 years after. Okay. Um, and then we have the days of Peleg, not very long after that. So we kind of, because in the days of Peleg, it says that the earth was divided. So when the flood happened, and I believe it was a worldwide flood, uh, the cultures of the world all have some kind of a flood story. And so there had to have been some significant changes that happened if the floodwaters were high enough to cover all of the to do. I've got a dog that needs to go out. So let me see if I can find the pause button. I know, just a second. The daddy left without the Shih Tzus today, and they are not happy about it. Okay, got him out. I'll probably have to pause it again and let him back in here in a little bit. But if the flood covered the highest mountains, which is what the Bible says, then there was some significant changes in the earth at that point. I don't believe before the flood that the oceans, the seas, were as large, if at all. I think that there was a lot of groundwater and things were very different before the flood. The atmosphere was different. Trees grew very, very big. People grew very, very big. Everything was bigger. Okay. That's where we get this whole dinosaur thing. It was just everything was bigger. Okay. So all of the um, all of the quote unquote dinosaurs that are legitimate as far as I'm concerned anyway, you can find something in nature today that probably was. Okay. I absolutely. There's new species of animals that they're finding all of the time. So um some of the dinosaurs were actually, like dragon, sea creatures, stuff like that. And I do still think they're out there today. So I that's me. I believe it to be true, right? And that's just a precursor to what I think of unicorns as well. So anyway, in the days of Peleg, it says that the earth was divided. Well, we had the Tower of Babel about that time, and God divided the languages. So, was that what was talking about in the days of Peleg, or was there an actual big earth shift of some sort? There could have been, but this video that I think somebody shared with me recently, and I should have it where I can pull it up, but I don't remember where it was at. Um, they were discussing how when the earthquake happened, when Yeshua was crucified, and then a big earthquake happened whenever he rose again. that there might have been a big dividing of the continents at that point. So up until that point, we might have still had at least land bridges and stuff that where people could go all over the world at that point. The Bible talks about corn and unicorn, corn, anyway, and corn's native to the Americas. It's not native to the Middle East or Egypt. It's native to the Americas. So, and how did Franciscan monks before Columbus know to translate it as corn if that's not what it was and if they didn't have access? Okay. So do not believe that the New World was anywhere new to anybody in the Bible. I think they knew exactly what it was. And I do believe that these ancient empires covered that area. We have Egyptian things in America. We've had people have been finding Egyptian things since, the 1800s here in America. We've got Viking things here in Oklahoma, signs that Vikings were here in Oklahoma in the middle of the US. So I absolutely believe that they were worldwide. So when these empires were taken over, and we have this Greek empire, Alexander the Great, being depicted basically as a unicorn. Okay, so let's go back to somebody else is letting him in. I think it's this one. Sure. Okay, so Bible has several mentions of unicorns. Let's pull up unicorn here. So generally speaking, unicorns, and I've got a Pinterest board on this as well. I need to move myself out of the way. Okay. Saved. Did I 10 hat. And I did a whole unicorn board. I've already got 64. I just started this section of this board recently. And I've already got this many images. And these are from tapestries and books and scrolls. And I think some of them are like reliefs on walls and many, many different things. Generally speaking, for the most part, the unicorn was depicted as a goat, not a horse, okay? Or as kind of a horse goat chimera type thing. They nearly always have a cloven hooves, a goat. This is very goat, okay? The tail is a little longer. It seems like they've got like the goat legs, a lion tail. Sometimes they even have a mane on some of them. Let me see if I can find one of the ones that looks like it's got a lion's mane. The newer the stuff gets, the more it looks like a unicorn. And see, these kind of look like they've got a image tab. Almost look like they've got the mane of a lion. Okay. This is more horse-like here. But we've got a cloven hoof, and horses don't have a cloven hoof. They only have one hoof, not two. Okay. Oh, this one as well. New tab. Try to get these up where they're bigger. Very lion-like mane. Very small tail here. Very horse-like face. And the cloven hoof of a deer or a goat. Okay, so there is a thing called a chimera. Of course, in mythology, it's a particular creature. My family. I'm recording. So, in genetics, a chimera is an organism or individual composed of tissues of diverse genetic constitution. Anyway, it's a mix of things. Okay. So, another belief that I have is that people are not getting smarter. They were actually much more. Here's another one that's very interesting the way that it looks. Um, Now that might not be a mane, but it still kind of looks like a mane to me. Very interesting. Anyway, that these people had a lot more technology than what we're actually usually consider them to have, or what we've been taught that they have. They had amazing architecture. Um, they very likely had power of some sort, that free energy that we don't understand today, or that we're not meant to understand today. Uh, and so the idea that they could genetically make things, I absolutely believe that they could. There is also, we have various chimera type creatures, like we have mules, where horses and donkeys, which the Bible specifically says don't breed horses and donkeys to make a mule. Um, Let me see if I can find that real quick. Um, I don't know if I'll be able to find that. No, there's a place in there that, let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay. Leviticus 19:19 prohibits mating different kinds of cattle, which some interpret to be as horses and donkeys as well. So it's different breeds of cattle that it's saying not to do. Anyway, hybrids are kind of looked frowned upon. Okay. People are constantly messing with breeding various things. We've got ligers, a tiger and lion thing. They usually come out much larger. So some of these images don't necessarily look like they're a lot larger, but if these were giant people, which there was one of these images that like really, I don't know if I got it saved, really looked like you could kind of tell that that it might have been giants that were with these animals. So whenever you mix these animals, mules are usually bigger than the horse and the donkey. The ligers are usually bigger than tigers and lions. I'm not seeing that image. So while these don't necessarily look like they might be bigger than like a goat, um, if this gal was larger, could have been, right? So it's hard to say. Um, but the way the tails look, this one's even a different color, which is interesting. Tab. They've got some kind of a creature back here, which could be a dog or cat or something. We've got a person back here, and then we have like this golden one. And all unicorn means is one horn. Okay. So I was going to go to these other, we have numbers. There's 9 places in all of them in the Old Testament of unicorn. So let's go to each one and let's look and see what we've got. So, and God brings them out of Egypt. He is for them like the horns. And here it's calling it a wild ox instead of a unicorn. Reem, wild ox, unicorn, or wild bull. And we want to move past and go to this one here, strength and ferocity. This one, antelope, unicorn. Some say rhinoceros. I mean, a rhinoceros has kind of got one horn and it is strong. In a lot of these verses, it talks about the strength. Let's see. He brings him out of Egypt. He is for him like the horns of a wild ox. And let's see, did the other one have horns? It did. This is an interesting word. Word for horn. It doesn't even mean horn. Loftiness, height, exaltation, weariness, toil, speed is the word that we're using for horn. Now, sometimes the word horn, like in Daniel, stands for a king. Okay, this is a power. The horn is known as a power. Like, so this is a king. The goat would be Greece. The horn would be Alexander the Great, the king of Greece. Okay, hope that makes sense. Weariness, toil, speed, plenty, and strength. And so many of these, see, strength of a unicorn, strength of a unicorn. This one's saying like horns of a unicorn. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee? Yeah, Job's going to be interesting. Okay, so wild ox, we have the same word here again on this one, and the same word. I don't know why they put eminence here when weariness, height, exaltation. That is interesting. Okay, we go to the next one, Deuteronomy, and we've got a couple of different words for the horn. These are different here, but it's the same unicorn, wild ox word. Okay, so let's look, and this is using this one twice. What can I do? Okay. Karen, a horn, a flask, a coronet. There you go. Crown, elephant's tooth, a corner, a peak, a ray of and power. Okay. A hill, horns, might, ray, strength, tusks. That's interesting. Okay. Then we have Job. Again, we have Reem. This one, is this the same one? 1214. Yep, 7214. It's the same one. Wild ox will serve you. Okay. And then Job, wild ox, furrow with ropes. And this is interesting. God is asking Job, can you bind the wild ox or the unicorn? Is what it says. Can you bind the unicorn in a furrow with ropes? So can you tame him to help plow the land? All right. or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Okay. So this is a strong, not tame animal, is what this is saying. So again, we have rain here. That's the same one. Okay, here we go. Wild ox. Yep, we have rain again. And the horn, we've got a different one. That's the clarin. And then we have remen. It's a different form of the word, but it's the same word here. He makes Lebanon skip like a calf and Sion like wild ox. And then we have Psalm 92. You have exalted my horn like that of a wild ox. Let's see. Yep, that's the same. The horn, one cornet. And in the King James, my horn shall exalt like the horn of a unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Okay. Interesting. Let's see. Actually, nope, it's 7214. It's the same one, right? Yep, 7214. And then Isaiah 34:7, wild ox, number 7214. Let's see what it says. The unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked, and their dust shall be made fat with fatness. Hmm, interesting. So again, we've got Franciscan monks or whatever during the King James. I can't remember if it's in, let's see if it's in the Geneva. I meant to do this a couple of hours ago whenever it was a little quieter in the house before everybody got home, but I did not get done. So in the Geneva Bible, it's also unicorn. All right. Oh, Deuteronomy 14:5, the unicorn and the wild ox. I don't remember having that one. I don't think we had that one. All right, let's look and see what this one says. What is the difference between this is talking a deer, a gazelle, a roebuck, a wild goat, a mountain goat, an antelope, and perhaps a mountain sheep or goat. So this is like just a list of different kinds of animals, and none of them are the, let's get back to, or the Ream 7214. So I wonder why the Geneva Bible did unicorn and that one. Interesting. And let's see. You're on May 33:17. Yep. I think most of the rest of them are the same. So that's interesting. that they've got this one that's just a like a list of animals. Let's look at this in context. Oh, these are beasts which you shall eat. The beef, the sheep, the goat, the hart. So this is saying you could actually eat unicorn. According to this. That is very interesting because it has a cloven hoof and chews the cud. That's interesting indeed. Okay. Hmm. Anyway, this quote unquote mythical creature that goes back very far back. These are, these look more like cattle. And I've heard some people say that maybe the horn, it's just not showing both her horns, just showing one horn instead of more than one. I don't know. Same way with this. Now, this one looks like it's got the head of a horse here. It actually looks like it's got horse's hooves, but then it's got the lion's tail, and this has got wings. So, is this some kind of a cherubim or what? It looks like it might have a beard here. I don't know. That may just be the way the mosaic is done, but that's interesting. And then we've got these that look like goats with just one horn. Again, this is a wall, like a walled city. And look how big these people are compared to this, and maybe it's just a little stone fence. I don't know. But you've got this tower that doesn't look that big or that far away. And you've got some kind of like pillar from the cloud coming down here. That's interesting. Interesting indeed. And here is another issue that we've got these little dogs. We have the castle wall, which looks small compared to these people, creatures, you know? So I don't know. These animals look like they might be about the right size. So, there's that one. This looks like it's got a lion with it, and they're running about the same size. Parrot, a fox, bunny rabbits, several different kind of creatures in there. Oh, that's an interesting one. We've got a cloven hoof there, one horn that looks more horse-like to me, but then you've got this little tail here. That looks like it's got donkey ears. It's got had wings, but that one has the hooves of like a horse here. And my thought process is if these people were just, hacking things out of, hunter gatherers or whatever, then why would they be pretty consistently depicting these kinds of figures? Is my thought process. So they go way back to at least 2000 BC, at least. Just an interesting thought. Most of them seem to be depicted as white. That's generally what we think, but I did find this one that was like yellow or gold or tan or whatever. Here, That's interesting. I wonder what that's on. It's frustrating whenever they don't tell you. Unicorns are on coat of arms. I mean, it could be because it's a really neat, quote unquote mythical creature. But at the same time, I think there was something to it. There's images, that one doesn't look happy, um, of unicorns fighting dragons. There's this whole thing about the unicorn horn having special properties. Guess I could look that up. So, supposedly, the unicorn's horn could purify water, cure diseases, protect against poison. And something I wanted to bring up there, as far as that type of thing is concerned, is today we do uh, collagen powder, right? Now, according to my dietitian friend, probably one of the best collagen powders is the fish. Did she say fish and sheep? Fish and chicken. Fish and chicken collagen. Um, but we do collagen powder today. It's good for hair, skin, nails, um, bones. You know, it's basically ground up bones, right? You get collagen whenever you eat sardines. So, uh, let's see, Cultivate Elevate has a pearl powder, which is a collagen powder that's supposed to be more bioidentical. I'm trying to decide if that's um, clean or unclean. The Bible does talk about pearls, but it doesn't talk about whether or not you should consume them. So I don't know, but I did try it to see. But, we still do collagen today. We know that collagen is good for us. So the idea that they were doing, um, you know, things with the collagen, and then one way to get some poisons out of your system is with the right minerals to get heavy metals out of your system. If you have the right minerals in your system, it can help get the bad stuff out. So, I mean, that is maybe it did work, you know, just kind of a thought process there. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. Is it something that was bred specifically as a chimera to inhabit, to have the qualities of all of the different animals that people liked? Were they breeding them so that they could have a stronger animal? I don't know. It's so hard. It's so hard to know, right? Or did God actually make a unicorn and then maybe people, bred it with other things or something? I don't know. If he can make a platypus, don't tell me he can't make a unicorn. And I know some people think platypuses are, Nephilim creatures or something. I don't know about that. If they breed between themselves and you breed a platypus with a platypus and you get a platypus, then to me, that's probably something that God, because usually whenever you have like a mule or something, they're hard to breed. A lot of times they're either infertile to begin with, or you have to be very careful with how you breed these chimera creatures. Okay. So, and I'm pretty sure that's the same way with the tiger lion mixes and stuff like that. So you just have to be really careful. If it's something that is, natural that God created, then it's going to propagate itself easily, And so that's how I see, because I've heard some people saying that kangaroos are chimera or Nephilim things. And I'm like, no, no. They breed. They do their thing, and they seem to be doing just fine with it out in the wild. So that's kind of where I'm at on that one. Maybe we don't have unicorns around today because it was something that people bred, but then you go back to the Bible and, like this is listing it in the clean things, but this is only one of the translations, and it's not the same word that is used in the others. Um, in all of these other places, the word for unicorn is a different word. So I would say that one might be mistranslated and that it wouldn't have really been a clean animal unless it was a goat with just one horn. I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of my thought process. My our youngest brought a video to my attention recently about unicorns, and she's like, "Mom, I think you should make a video out of that." And I'm like, "Hey, video out of unicorns. I'm up for it. That sounds like fun." So anyway, this was kind of fun. This is interesting. I'd love to know what you guys think. Share with me your thoughts in the comments, and let's see you know, what we come up with. If you haven't joined the community, if you're feeling um, isolated where you're at with some of these thought processes and studies and where you're at in some of your thinking today, um, please come join our community. I'm trying to build a community of believers who are willing to think outside the box, not putting God in a box, and realizing that the Bible is multi-dimensional and willing to dig in and think about things that way. Plus, learn about homesteading, homeschooling, homemaking, you know, prepping, all the things. So if you're interested, it is a free community. I've got the information in my little about section. So definitely join us. And I think that's all I have today. Thank you for joining.